Hello VC. It's been quite some time, right? The latest video did quite good. I'm really happy you guys were interested in my folk tag. And this video, yeah, it's been a while now. This video is somewhat connected to it in a way. I did a few live streams recently, which I tend to delete shortly after the stream. But other than that, yeah, it's been quite silent. I have a few projects, VC video projects, but one that I've been planning for quite some time now. I got triggered because Dominique from Seekingathread started the Folkways record thread. I mean, I've been talking about Folkways in half of my videos, I guess, often stating it's my favorite label, if not the best record label ever in the record industry. So I have quite an extensive library of Folkways records. I mean, they started in the early 50s with Moses H, the founder. I think the first few records are from 52, maybe even before, and I believe the last vinyl releases are from 87, so that's 35 years of constantly putting out music from the whole spectrum of music in the 20th century. Maybe not so much pop music. Yeah, no pop music, but music from all over the world, traditional music, traditional folk music, experimental music, jazz, expressions of the local. And with one of the strongest, if not the strongest, art direction, both music and design-wise. We started out with this tune that we'll be playing throughout sometime in the video. This is Craig Kupka, Crystal's New Music for Relaxations 2. 2 because there is a volume 1 to it. Most Folkways records that you will encounter have this fantastic artwork of this art pasted on the front cover and a third of the back cover. And the design is, for the most part, by a certain Ronald Clyne. Here. Ronald Clyne, he did some stuff for other labels as well, such as Columbia, Masterworks, and he's a graphic designer, painter, and he did most. If you look at his Discogs page, he has 1,125 credits, and I don't think that Folkways has that many releases in total. They have way more if you count the reissues and the different pressings, but yeah. But I would hazard that like most of his credits are for the Folkways label. So it's usually pretty simple. It's usually one color or two colors, very abstract. He also did some book covers for the Arkham House Press, the publishing house from Auguste Derlet, the guy who took over when H.P. Lovecraft died. He went on to continue publishing Lovecraft's work plus others under the Arkham House press name, which for which Ronald Clyne did a lot of cover as well. So this Crystal's new music featuring yeah, it's Craig Kupka with some others, but yeah, he's playing trombone, digital delay, harp, synthesizer. It's a pretty incredible record. I think that the first one got reissued. The first one is one of the rare records that got like a back cover also glued. And when I say reissued, I mean recently. You can find this still. Okay, so yeah, and all these records, they usually have like an insert. Oh, usually, they always have an insert. Sometimes pretty extensive, depicting who is doing what. Sometimes essays describing what is going on. I mean, Folkways issued lots of stuff, of course, as I said. Like there's lots of ethnographical music, such as this. There's like hundreds of releases of yeah, music from wherever in the world, with the oddest focus, like this one. Here's only the booklet, but this recording of peyote ceremonies of North American Indians, the native church peyotists. There's also these kind of records. This is James Carr, the prisoner from the San Jose prison riots from '72, I think, who before he died recorded 26 hours of his recollection of the life in prison, that became a book called Bad. And here's a a compilation, like a best-of of his own private recordings about that. And of course Ronald Clyne design. So and in my folk tag video I showed a few more straight up folk stuff, like Woody Guthrie and different kinds of take on folk. But for this video I thought like I have to focus a little bit, so I will focus on, as you can hear, the avant-garde side of Folkways, which is my main interest in music often. I mean, I'm into everything obviously, but avant-garde is and experimental music is what I tend to get obsessed with. So yeah, so this will be my Folkways on the left field side of things then. Let's put it that way. Yeah, so here's an early Folkways as well, from Vaclav Nelly Bell, music, outer space music. Also, this is from the 50s, and also cover designed by Ronald Clyne. It doesn't have the fold here. So this is like ambient, but not only like, see, Song of the Spheres, weird melodic strains with heavy rhythm chords underneath, strangely dramatic. So this is kind of almost like a library soundtrack, and it's pretty good. It's like modern classical on the experimental side of things. These tracks like Ionosphere, Sun Lava, Vibrations from Outer Space, Interplanetary Journey in 3 sections, Pulse of the Universe. Yeah, this is a good one. Then this one, the one that is almost not avant-garde. This is the East New York Ensemble of Music at the helm, which is mostly Bilal Abdurrahman and Amin Nur al-Din. This is one of the absolute best free jazz, spiritual jazz records of Northern American records ever, in my opinion. Designed by Bilal Abdur Rahman, who also did a few other Folkways records, like instructional records for rhythms, dancing, and stuff like that. They're pretty good as well, but this is the this is a monster of a record. It got reissued, maybe bootlegged. I'm not sure if it's an official reissue or if it's a bootleg a few years ago. And I think that the reissue goes for quite some money now as well. But this is, like, in this condition, very, very seldom found. This is from '74. So an odd record to not have the fold cover in the back. Now more straight up regular Folkways abstraction. Elliot Schwartz, extended piano, with a great cover by Ronald Clyne. So this is from 1980. This could be more normal music like piano, but no, it's experimental music, and it's yeah, you can see in the background he's got synthesizers. This is pretty good as well, surprisingly good. Next, oh, and I'm not showing all my avant-garde ones because mostly because I recently had such a good idea of unsorting all my records. Like I had this very strange and idea that I might be regretting already. My records up in the house, I haven't sorted them anymore. They're all in random order, which meant it took me a while to find all these records, and there's a few I didn't find. Like there's a John Cage box set I didn't find. I think it's in another house. There's also a Jim Nolan record I think I might have lost, because this one I really looked for obsessively because I really wanted to show it. But yeah, well. So Jim Nolan, if you have this, and you can hook me up. Okay, so this is Lars Gunnar Bodin. So Swedish electronic avant-garde music for John, which I believe is John Appleton. So this is straight up avant-garde experimental electronic music. I think there's two pressings of this, one a stereo, this one, and a mono. And they both look exactly the same. John Appleton, who this might be dedicated to, did 4 LPs for Folkways. Some of the strongest electronic music on Folkways, in my opinion. And let's see if I can play some of it. John Appleton was the inventor or developer of the Seekingathread. The Seekingathread is a synthesizer that is very non-intuitive, very difficult to master. And if you find an original Seekingathread with its original manual, the manual is bigger than a phone book in 3 volumes. If you know the song "Oh Superman" by Laurie Anderson, the synthesizer sound and the treatment on his voice is coming from the Seekingathread, if I remember correctly. The Seekingathread is both a synthesizer and an early sampler. You could sample sound and play them at different heights. So, let's see. It's a pretty great artwork as well. Yeah, Ronald Clyne. John Appleton did an album with Don Cherry on Flying Dutchman, if I remember correctly. And yeah, I mean, all his records are in my opinion well worth getting. For Fantasies for Synclavier. This one is actually the first one I got, which is a narrative. There's like a story being told, and it's pretty good, pretty great actually. 2 melodramas for Synclavier, The Tale of William Mariner and the Snow Queen. And let's see. Next is a very odd project. It's Invocations by Richard Costellanets. As you can see, the cover art, also Ronald Clyne. So this is basically like a collage of various religious prayers from different religions and texts, etc. And yeah, you always get this. Yeah, this is from 1983. Pretty do it yourself. See? They always also have like a cardboard inside of it to hold the record together, separate from the insert. Oh yeah, some of the records have like most of them, the time they have the blue label, the blue and silver label, I should say, and sometimes they got the white label, like this one, and sometimes they got the red label. And this is one a little bit special release. This one has the blue silver label. This one is from Todd Dockstader, who is, I believe, the American pioneer of musique concrète, who used to work for Tex Avery, doing all the you know, the sounds, like the ching, pung, chung, ping, pong, like the sound effects. And this was self-released originally by Todd Dockstader, but later in the early 60s re-released by Folkways. And this is like a foundational record for American avant-garde electronic music. A more, maybe a little bit more difficult record in my opinion, Gene Hachelberger Ivy. Music by Gene Hachelberger Ivy for voices, instruments and tape. Great cover. Oh, listen to this. This is amazing. Yeah, this is a good album. It took me a while to really get into, but yeah, worth getting. The next one is amazing. Travel on Gamelon, music for bicycles by Richard Lerman. So basically, if I remember correctly, I think there's pictures of what he's doing. Yeah, he's using the bicycle as an instrument, as a percussion, but like a tuned percussion as well. And it's not just random, he's got a whole system about it. And so he akins this to gamelan music, the Balinese tuned percussion music. And it's pretty great, it's pretty successful experimental art piece, but pretty nice listen as well. Next, something also quite experimental. Doris Hayes, voicings for tape, soprano and piano. Great cover, really great. I love this combination of colors. There was a time when it was not quite. There was some confusion as of who Doris Hayes was as a British electronic music composer. Did a few library soundtracks under the same name, but apparently it seems to be two different persons. And yeah, really great record. Let's listen to something else. The next one is a weird one. It's an Italian record. I haven't listened to this in quite a while, but I remember it being pretty fun. Yeah, pretty like you wouldn't expect that maybe on Folkways. Great artwork, of course. So this is Seekingathread, Futuribile, the life to come. Seekingathread and his electronic instruments. A rare kind of bicolor cover. I believe there's an Italian issue of this as well that was released as a library. I'm not sure. Next, people who released a few albums on Folkways. I mean, I showed already Kupka and John Appleton, but here we go. Someone who released a really great album on Lovely Records is David Cope. Really amazing cover art as well. Visions, music for orchestra to pianos and computer generated tape by David Cope. And also this one is even weirder. Navajo Dedications. Modern music based on Navajo ceremonies by David Cope. Also cover design by Ronald Clyne. Pretty great artwork. Next, one of my absolute favorite records on Folkways. Okay, first he has two records. This is GD Rob, electronic music from razor blades to Moog. Why? What does that mean? Electronic music from razor blades to Moog. Well, he's basically summing up the history of electronic music, which is that it started out with musique concrète, with people like using tape, analog tape, and cutting it, gluing it together, playing it backwards with effects, etc. And up to Moog, the latest technology when this was done. This is, by the way, Roland GD Rob. Yes, the dude was born in the 1870, like in the late 1800 anyway. So basically this dude was making this kind of music in the 70s while he was over 80 years old. It's proper insane. There it is. So this is my favorite cover on Folkways and one of my top 3 album or record cover art ever. Rhythmania, GD Rob. Rhythmania and other electronic musical compositions. This kind of looks like a Carl Craig record from the early 90s. and kind of sounds like Aphex Twin, even if this is from the mid-70s, early mid-70s, 77, 76. No sequencer, this is just tape. This is insane. So here a few much older Folkways records. So this is Henry Jacobs, radio program #1. This is from '55. And this is like an audio collage of field recordings and electronics. Like, yeah, I think he's explaining it quite. These sounds were presented on Music and Folklore by me as examples of my own experimental work in creating a complex polyrhythmic kind of music in the musique concrète medium. Instruments consisted of 2 tape recorders, a group of primitive percussion instruments, and voice. I am both the musician and the composer. And yeah, this is pretty early electronic music. This is not super complex. It is very interesting, but it's like formative in a way. He also did his part of this compilation, sounds of new music that came about the same time, which features a somewhat known composer as Vladimir Ussachevsky. Who else? Otto Luening, Henry Cowell, Varese. Oh yeah, you have basically you have one side with compositions from Cage, Varese, Cowell, and the second side with experiments with the music. It's also pretty primitive in a way, but very interesting. Another Henry Jacobs record that Dom showed is Vortex. This is the original one. Well, when I got all these Folkways records, there were no modern reissues of these. There was no interest actually, apart from certain titles. But as a label, you know, the fact that the label was at the forefront of avant-garde and experimental music was politely ignored, I would say. Another somewhat similar to Henry Jacobs, this is a very rare edition of Vox Humana from Alfred Wolfson. Usually you have another cover for this. I didn't choose it, I got the cover I found, but here's the booklet. The cover art, the regular cover art has this in a multicolored design. This is more also primitive collage recorded in England. Introduction by Dr. Henry Cowell. Next, something more experimental and pretty good. I showed this in another video. Both realizations are those by Wharton Smith. Really good electroacoustic, experimental electronics, and tape manipulations, of course. Pretty essential stuff. I believe these might have been reissued as well. These have been, because of some complex, I won't go into the details, but let's say that Domino Records and Fortet had to pay some money. I'm of course talking about the Entourage Musique Ensemble. These are the two albums they did, which is more like jazz, guitar, folk, experimental, hippie, very good. And I mean, I love this artwork as well. This one is a little more like psychedelic, and it's good, but this one, so good. Which I just realized is yeah, okay Ronald, recycling a little bit. Yeah. And then 2 volumes of another band. This is pretty fantastic. Gamelan, Son of Lion. This is a band mostly known for featuring Philip Corner. So this is kind of percussive drones. This is very abstract, very lush and easy to listen as well. These are from 79 and 82, and yeah, the design is absolutely fantastic, and these are absolutely must-haves of avant-garde, Northern American avant-garde music, in my opinion. Now something absolutely fantastic as well. This got reissued in England by what's his name, Andy Votel, Darius Dolatsai, electronic music, Tar and Shetar. This is an Iranian composer who's doing electronic music with traditional Iranian instruments. And this one is fantastic and got reissued. It was like a grail for years for many people. One record that is more difficult to find is his second one for Folkways as well. Electronic music by Darius Dolatsai. More straight up electronics and yeah, pretty rad cover. This is from '86, very late Folkways. Not easy to find. I don't think this was a huge pressing. Next, one of the absolute best composers to grace Folkways is Ilan Mimaroglu, Turkish composer who became the head of the music department in Princeton, a university I believe. And these are his 2 albums on Folkways, Tract and To Kill a Sunrise, a requiem for those shot in the back, featuring texts by Che Guevara, yeah, so it's electronic music, yeah, the Columbia Princeton Electronic Music Center in New York. And then the B-side, La Ruche, the Hive in French, with cello, harpsichord, piano and electronic treatment. He also did, and this was composed by the GRM, Groupe de Recherche Musicale, where musique concrète was created in France in the late 40s, early 50s. And this other one, tracked with absolutely stunning cover art, featuring pop music, a pop band called Topsy-Turvy Moon, with text by Bakounine, Mao Tse-tung, Karl Marx, Brecht, Jean-Baptiste Clément, Eugene Potier. Yeah, it's like Folkways had, I mean, they had quite a few pretty strongly left-leaning artists on the label, either on the very like roots folk music side of things or avant-garde modern classical. Like, I wouldn't say that they were a political label, but I mean they're from New York and they were into the avant-garde, so there you go. Then something that they had like a few releases that way. This is Anne Macmillan, music of Anne Macmillan, Wail, Wail, in peace, en paix. So this is for voice and tape structures of whales and other animal sounds. Anne Macmillan recording, she's an eco composer, eco recorder, I don't know. Basically she went to record like sea mammals and animals and made collage music pieces out of this, and they're pretty good. She also did this one, Gateway Summer Sound, abstracted animal and other sounds, composed by Anne Macmillan. Equally fantastic in my opinion. And Macmillan, yeah, she hasn't done much more than these records on Folkways, I believe. And as I was saying, there's another guy who did music similar using sea animals with Jim Nolan, whose record I had, and obviously I don't have it anymore, unfortunately. Then another artist that got a few records is Barton and Priscilla MacLean, a duo of composers. This is more straight up experimental electronic music. This is electro-symphonic landscapes. There's one composition by Priscilla and one by Barton. And this is from '79. Also Ronald Clyne cover art. There's always these like weird discolorations as well, like that becomes green here. They use inks that often some of the records, when they got some sun, they get some interesting colors. This is again Priscilla MacNeil and Barton MacLean with Kevin Hanlon and Reed Holmes. This is a box set of Folkways. It's pretty neat. The same design, but on a box set. And I don't know what to tell you about it, apart from the fact that it's pretty awesome. And then there was like lots of avant-garde compilations on Folkways. There was a series of called New American Music, 4 volumes, the New York section. Volume 1 I couldn't find, but it's coming my way. I have a plan. So volume 1 features Gil Evans, compositions by Gil Evans, Milford Graves, Mary Lou Williams. Mary Lou Williams released her first 2 albums on Folkways, if I remember correctly. Sam Rivers, Sonny Murray, and Mary Lou Williams. Then you got volume 2. Volume 2 featuring James Fulkerson, who did some stuff for Larry Austin, and this is more experimental music, proper. Then Volume 3 with Frédéric Rzewski from Musica Electronica Viva, amongst other things, and also pretty left-wing text in this, and with other composers. This is really good, and the best one, Volume 4. Featuring Joel Shadab and Macmillan, Gordon Mumar and Vladimir Uzashevsky. These are pretty easy to find, I think, still. Maybe not anymore, but this one is very odd. It also features Borton McLean and other people. But music of a timeless earth. So this is electroacoustic collage compositions with recordings of weather and natural soundscapes. Pretty low-key recording, but pretty fun. Then there's a few records like this, which are like collage of field recordings. Here at the Water's Edge, one fantastic cover, which is a collage of wandering around New York Bay, or like the city side. Like there's recorded from the motion picture here at the Water's Edge, recorded in and around the Port of New York by Leo Hurwitz and Charles Pratt. Yeah, this is there's quite a few records like that on voice themes. This one used to be super rare. This one was probably the most difficult to find for me. Israeli electronic music. Also called cover design by Ronald Clyne. With composers I know nothing about apart from these recordings. I haven't seen their name anywhere else. And it's actually really good. This one is kind of an introductory compilation to electronic music. It's called Electronic Music. It's the stereo. There's also a mono version of it. Pretty good design as well. It features G.D. Robb, Jane Eichenberger-Ivy, Hugh Kane, Murray Schaffer from Canada, I believe, and a few others. Pretty good compilation. Not the best they put out, but pretty solid one. This one is pretty odd. Waka and other compositions. Contemporary music of Japan based on traditional Japanese themes and poetry composed by Michiko Toyama. But in reality, you got the main track there, Waka, music for tape and narration read by Mrs. Beat Gordon. So it's slightly electronically treated traditional Japanese music. And it's pretty neat. Pretty cool record anyways. The concepts. Then this one is pretty great as well. It's from the cellist Malcolm Goldstein. The Seasons, Vermont, for magnetic tape collage and instrumental ensemble. Violin player. He's got some great stuff, solo stuff. On Opus recordings, maybe? I'm not sure I remember. Maybe it's private press. Okay. We're still listening to Synclavier music by John Appleton. no, this compilation is pretty good. Computer music, compositions by Larry Austin, John Celona, Charles Dodge, Stanley Haynes and Bruce Pennycook. This one's, I'm a huge fan of Larry Austin from Texas, and this I believe is actually, yeah, this is from the University of the North Texas State University. It's electronic music from the North, the ICMC, yeah, the department of the musical department of the Northern Texas University, and you got some of yeah, the graphs and sheets of the music, more traditional here, but yeah. This one's got pretty neat artwork as well. Computer music from the outside in. Also Barton McLean, Carl Corti and Reed Holmes. This is really good. Really good compositions. And I think this will be the final record I show. Yeah, this is a long video, sorry. The Dartmouth Digital Synthesizer. Electronic music by John Appleton, Lars Gunnar Bodin, Russell Pinkstones and William Brunson. I love the font here. And of course, cover design by Ronald Clyne. Yeah, so yeah, that's it. That was my my entry in the Folkways Records thread, the experimental avant-garde edition, and well, I hope you you found this interesting and fun. I'm sure it wasn't for most of my viewers, but this is music I'm really passionate about, and this is such a great label and such a cool label to collect, actually. So, and this is only one direction you can collect them, because there's so much like music, traditional folk music from all over the world, and Folkways by VC.